Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to Batman Arkham Asylum. So we are working our way towards this secondary Bat Cave. There's some other collectibles in this area, but I don't believe any of them actually can be accessed. Like we haven't gotten any of the Metroidvania abilities that would unlock anything. If anything, what we need to do is level up, and from the looks of it, we're not going to be able to uh, really upgrade anything. And the last boss battle that we fought with Bane, I did nearly die, so I just need to upgrade the armor and upgrade the armor and upgrade the armor. Trying to go for offensive, probably not going to be that super helpful. And like the special combo takedown, not going to be super helpful because very often I'm not even getting 8 combos. I'm fighting 3 or 4 people. I imagine if you're playing the game in hard mode, or a more difficult mode in general, you would be fighting more people, and that larger number of people would then be the way to get to get to higher combos. There is something I think that needs to be mentioned here. The Batmobile was here, and we called the Batmobile, and it went to right about here, hit Bane, and then ran through this. So the Batmobile, either being remotely driven or automatically drove, turned around because it was facing this way, went back this direction, through this direction, through here, and then here, and into the water, hitting Bane. Because this door that we're looking at is locked, and clearly the car did not crash through it, and clearly the door wouldn't just open for the car and not open for anybody else. That's pretty silly. And otherwise, I guess what you could try and do is spray more than one of these, but that probably won't work. Alright, so that guy's the stun guy that you have to hit B on. So the problem here is now we've got a combo of people that we've got to hit, and unless they just get taken out, which whether they're taken out or not is kind of random. Like, odds are high if you counter. That was a 5 combo, by the way. That was the max amount of combos. Also, exploding to people does seem to damage a person significantly, but you can't just punch somebody and even be guaranteed that that would do enough to defeat them. So armor upgrade 2. I'm wondering if that is increasing the battle damage on my suit, because that would have been the only thing that really would have added this battle damage. There was nothing in the story that I recall that sliced in front of me. There was like no in-game cutscene when we first fought people with the with knives or anything like that. So yeah, obviously these are just going to be more armor upgrades, which is going to be more health, which we kind of need. And we're just going to go over here, and walking this direction was immediately objective complete. Follow the cave to Dead Man's Point to locate So we've been down there. Oh, there was a whole thing here. Almost certainly this was not open before. Well, actually this was. This was the Riddler thing, wasn't it? There's nothing explosive in detective mode. Can be blown up. I did not hit any button, by the way, when I jumped down there. So it wants me to walk through this area we already had walked through. And scan that thing, I guess, if we hadn't scanned that before. And then walk through here, which will give us a checkpoint. I would argue there's probably not enough checkpoints in this game. And then I guess what's going to happen is, now that the story has told us that there's a bat cave in this area, we're going to find some kind of secret door to a bat cave that you couldn't have accessed before. It is, I guess, worth mentioning that in the effort to not have incredible brutality on Harley Quinn when we jumped through the glass and knocked her out in one blow, there was broken glass at that point on the ground. So I suppose it would have been particularly extra brutal to have slammed her head into the ground like we are doing all the Blackgate goons, minions. There's also a story to be said about how Harley Quinn was created for one of the early Batman cartoons, not the comics, and it took a while for it to get added to comics canon. So even if I had glided down to the area that's being shown, it wouldn't have opened this secret door.
Disabling countermeasures.
Yeah.
Security deactivated.
That's just a cutscene to hide the fact that there's nothing here. This was a jump from one location to another. Yeah. There's no collectibles or anything. We can even, I assume, check where we are. We are in the caves, which will have some stuff, I guess. So Harley Quinn was added because of the comic and because she was super popular. She's actually not a good, like, love interest per se for the Joker, in my opinion. And this is definitely going to be a controversial opinion, but she is always kind of just an addendum and an addition to the personality of the Joker, and the Joker is always, as a character, psychotically extreme in the first place, so it doesn't add anything to the story to have a girlfriend that's also psychotically extreme and often pining and in love with him when he often seems to not be really interested in her and just using her. As if I was, again, to dare to step in the shoes of a DC writer, I would have Harley Quinn, who is long since in almost every canon and every story broken up with the Joker and has almost nothing to do with him. I would have a character come in to replace her who is the exact opposite, more like Harleen the Doctor, logical, analytical, evil, because they believe in order, and whereas the Joker believes in chaos. Something that is a complete opposite to supplement his own abilities. It would be much more of a foil for Batman if the Joker kind of let himself get caught because of his own insanity, and then a new Joker girlfriend comes in and just shoots Batman in the back of the head because she's logical and planned out. There are certainly some enemies of Batman that are more strategic and chess masters, and that is what Batman is supposed to be too, is extremely strategic. This is interesting to have water going through a tunnel here. So you're kind of walking through a waterfall. This definitely feels like an early attempt at doing something with physics and animation that really doesn't all the way play. It's kind of fake splashes of water that don't have anything to do with the grate they're actually hitting, and you can see a clear line in which it's being animated differently. You're just so they can do that water effect in front of your eyes, which is a super annoying effect by now. Like, anytime you get something like that, it's ridiculous. We may be getting the Batman theme, or at least somewhat of the Batman theme. These are just bricks out of kind of nowhere. So they kind of had the idea that they wanted you to have a bat cave. It makes sense for a Batman game, but it needed to be a central hub, like, well, like Metroid Prime. It needed to be somewhat accessible, like Metroid Prime in the center area. Interesting. There's something that way. He's just gonna kick those things away. Can be destroyed by control explosion. This is his stuff in his backup cave, so why you would do this is kind of silly. It's probably for an achievement. Speaking of achievements, there's kind of no point in me trying to get all the achievements in this game. Most of them are story based, but 3 of them are based on the level of difficulty in which you beat the final part of the game. And I'm not sure that you could even kind of cheat it and maybe increase the level of difficulty and fight the final battle. So you may actually have to play the whole game from the beginning 3 times, or maybe you have to play the whole game on hard and then you can drop down, but you can't turn the difficulty up. That might be the case too. Either way, it's not really worth the effort. So we're gonna walk here and we're gonna get the next Metroidvania ability, an item.
Dr. Young was heading up a project. It was big. Lots of external funding.
It's a little weird that Oracle didn't scan Dr. Young and do a default search.
Looks like she was
second you heard their name.
The Arkham patients. This new chemical only barely resembles the original venom compound.
There are a number of changes that appear to amplify the strength of the drug. Multiple references to a Titan formula. Even a small amount could trigger a venom-like transformation in the host, eliminating the need for the storage tank Bane requires.
Hang on. These notes aren't complete. The formula is missing. That must be the secret Dr. Young is hiding. If Joker gets his hands on this, he will create an army of 1,000 Banes.
My God. Is Joker crazy enough to do that? What am I saying? You've got to stop him.
So he's in this Batcave again, and he's getting exactly 1 upgrade and nothing else. This grapple attachment can be used to grab and pull objects from a distance. The Bat Claw can also attach to enemies. It's ridiculous. Also,
I'm going
that
after her.
definitely looked like
heading
he
to the
was
mansion with cash.
holding
Going
a
up
gun
via the catacombs.
and not a grappling hook. It felt very video gamey and very gun-like. So, what is Harley Quinn doing in canon right about now? Well, as I understand it, DC is kind of trying to de-emphasize and kind of ignore the romance that Harley Quinn has had that wasn't the one with the Joker in many of the side stories and many of the other issues, and that romance is with Poison Ivy. So yeah, take that for whatever you want to take from that. I guess there's not much to say there other than there probably are as many stories, if I was to guess, with her dating Poison Ivy versus her actually dating the Joker. I guess we're going this way. Let's just look here. If the caves really include all of this, that's pretty crazy.
A puzzle has many sides, but
yeah, there's a lot more to this than this first area. You might as well be in detective mode here because it's rather dark. Rather dark. Yeah. There was also a time when Harley Quinn was in this underworld, I believe. Yeah, this whole secret, like, underground city under Gotham. And there's been many issues where Harley Quinn is more of a chaotic positive character versus a chaotic evil character. Yeah, there's nothing here. So now we have to do more tapping A. Quick time events. Let's see. It's a little odd there are no bats. Like, why not have at least a couple hanging down, even if they're not going to fly around and have AI? I would argue that's probably just more evidence of a lack of polish.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll try and be more precise next time I'm planning an island takeover.
Hey, I didn't mean...
Criticism I can take. I mean, I'm not perfect. Well, come to think of it, I'm pretty close to perfect, aren't I? Where was I? Oh, yes. Criticism from a worm like you.
So I think this is just going to keep going on.
Crawling around free because I arranged to open his cell is something I will not tolerate.
I'm sorry, boss. I didn't mean it like that. Please.
Oh, well, see now you're apologetic. I'll just have someone drive round to your house and break your wife's leg, okay?
But Joker...
You got a problem with my generous nature?
No, I guess not. Thanks.
Oh, don't mention it. Let's just consider the matter closed. Did I ever tell you the one about the guy who came home to find his wife a paraplegic?
This is ridiculous. He's just not gonna do anything. He's...
You there? Calling all cars! Calling all cars! What the hell got you? Croc on the back! Croc, old boy, are you there? No?
Alright. So... I don't think I can grab things with this. Yeah. So how am I supposed to get over to that? Yeah, that rescues you if you fall down that direction. Yeah, by the looks of it, you have to maybe blow up the walls on the other side. Let's see. We still don't have a controlled explosive way of destroying that. There's nothing back behind here. We've got 5 of these guys. So what I'm just gonna do is, so the bat claws can be used to grab things, which is fine, and double tap right trigger for the quick bat call. Alright, we'll see how this works.
Why are we the ones trying to open it? This ain't even the main door. If we even get it open, we don't know what it'll do.
I ain't going near it. You even touch the door and it'll get you. Yeah, you remember Mickey, right?
He was an idiot. Deserved to be eaten.
I say we just tell Joker we couldn't find it. We'll be safer. No one will know. Yeah, that'll work. No one will know. It'll be sweet.
Yeah, let's just wait it out and hope that
Jeez,
door
how
holds.
close can I get to this guy?
Joker never finds out, right?
Seems like they've programmed him specifically
You need help there?
not
I can
to
call the boss for help.
detect me.
Shut up. It's the bat.
Alright. And slam one guy. And slam another guy. And then that gets us down to 3. That gets me down to 2. And that gets me down to 1, where apparently I broke that guy's arm. Meanwhile, grabbing bodies is not something you can do. And this gate doesn't seem like it's gonna open easy. I guess that's what they were talking about. Well, this is a transitional element. It's kind of fairly obvious it is also a mostly collectible thing.
Hello, my name is Dr. Gretchen Whistler. Do you understand me?
Yeah, I hear you, bitch. So when's dinner?
A little excessive language there. And another female doctor. Seems like the guy in charge of Arkham seems to only hire mostly female doctors, except for the one Chinese doctor. And Gretchen does sound kind of Germanic. We also had Dr. Penelope Young here. She is drawn a lot more interesting here than she looks in the actual game, which is kind of a problem because I mean, let's look at this again. Arkham Asylum, summer of 2009. So she is a completely made up character for this game. Again, a example of the writers of this game thinking they can write better than even a DC comic writer, when they would have been much better sticking to a established story of some interest. In my opinion, I think that would have worked a lot better for him. Let's see. So we have a door, and that door I think would probably circle around. And we are seeing some other abilities and such that make it seem less likely that I should go this other direction. Seems like we're gonna just run through this whole element later to fight the alligator character.
I've been digging deeper into Dr. Young. According to her bank records, there have been multiple payments starting last April until 2 months ago. Then nothing. The payments came from a company owned
I can't
by
open
Mr.
this.
Jack White.
One of Joker's oldest aliases. So, Joker pays Dr. Young to create his army, and then all of a sudden he stops. Doesn't make any sense.
Sure it does. First of all, it probably means she succeeded, was done, or she changed her mind, or he's just crazy. It's kind of ridiculous to try to put too much logic behind Joker's actions. Getting some creaky sounds. A puzzle that has many sides, but only some are visible in this area. And this is just a big cave section. Although, in all fairness, this really is just a long hallway, then a big open cave section that could have as easily been a small, narrow corridor with 2 potential exits. And then a long hallway in this case, and then another large section that probably won't have too much. What is this? Is this some aqueduct system that would have been built for Arkham Asylum? That makes no sense. There shouldn't... Highly unlikely there'd be an ancient civilization. Is it supposed to be something that he built? Then why does it look so ancient? And this is more of kind of the idea of a Court of Owls
Hey, this is weird.
type
The payments to Dr. Young's
building.
account didn't stop exactly. They were declined. Dr. Young put a block on her account.
Sounds like she had a change of heart. She tried to block the payments. Joker doesn't like it when his partners try to back out.
So he decided to get himself back to Arkham, find his formula, and create the army himself.
Exactly.
See what that looks like when not in detective mode. It looks better in darkness than it does in these polygons. It's just a hanging dark cave. Yeah. This implies that there's
Hacked into her email accounts.
some
Two
kind
mails
of
stand out. The first is a
secret
resignation letter dated last
building
week.
or
Sounds like she was trying to get away.
element.
And the second?
A message from Joker. Well, Jack White. It's a long thread. She's begging to stop the experiment. Says it's too dangerous. He's not listening. Let's see. Random threats to her family, a couple of bad jokes, a picture of a dead baby and a threat.
Go on.
He says, I'm coming for you. I want what I paid for. And then another joke about wheelchairs. Lovely. And a drawing of some kind of donkey.
No mystery why she's so scared. I'm coming up to the surface. I'll find her.
So there's a lot of places here that you just can't use your bat grappling hook, making this basically an Assassin's Creed platformer. Seems like they just needed a place that, well, it seems like this was an idea that was unfinished, like so many other things, and they needed a place to have a decent collection of platformers and things to try and let's see, I guess I went the wrong way. They needed a decent number of places to try and hide collectibles. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't feel like Barbara Gordon as Oracle or as any other character really got her due in any series. Where am I? Back at the beginning. She's there was one comic book series I heard about, and even now, after at least a couple of years of not reading comic books. I still occasionally follow what the new reboot is and what they're doing. They were for a time there trying to move Barbara Gordon as a younger character and into a different section of Gotham, whereas the implication is Batman mostly keeps his business to the most dangerous, like dirtiest parts, dark sections of Gotham are always depicted, and so Barbara Gordon is more at the local college, and that's what I think she was doing. Was she was hanging out at the local college and de-aged and definitely being a target, a comic book targeted towards younger readers, which they need to do. They kind of have to do. Like, you can't.
I thought you'd never find it.
You can't just hold your current audience with comic books, because they're getting older and there's always a high percentage of them that are dissatisfied. They're always nostalgic for the comics they read as a kid, and so you can't do anything new, you can't do anything different. So there's the question mark. The question, I suppose, would be, where's the dot? I feel like DC tries to be too dark in all of their comics, and then that causes difficulty as far as them trying to attract younger readers. I feel like in general comic books could be this really helpful element towards literacy, and it just never is, because there's either too much violence in them or they're just too age inappropriate. Am I supposed to go this way? Nope, I don't think so. Yeah, is there anything here? No? Would I be able to take a picture and see a reflection in the water? No. I don't think so. Because I see this light up there and thought that might be part of the question mark. Things are breaking above my head. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I can't really be upset about the idea of them aging Peter Parker up and kind of replacing him with a younger character. Although it's probably would have just been as easy to de-age Peter Parker and have him as a kid in general, always. Let's see. There's nothing down here. Was there possibly something I missed looking through this? No. It's kind of weird how you have to crouch down to grab the ledge. Yeah, there's conflicted reasoning, I suppose, between wanting to age not just DH Peter Parker, but have a whole new character. In the fact that if you create a new character, then you own the whole rights to it, or possibly if they create a new character, DC owns the whole rights to it, and none of the writers or creators own any rights to it. There's been a lot of dumb decisions built around that level and that style of thinking, certainly. And then there's just, as much as I can complain, and I did just complain about current comic book fans being nostalgic for the things they like, there's definitely, well, I guess I was supposed to just drop down there. There's definitely been some scenarios where DC things have cheaped out and not been as good as one would like them to be. The Teen Titans getting kind of canceled, cartoon for Teen Titans Go. That's not something that people are super happy about. Where am I? Yeah, that checkpointed me. I'm gonna just straight up jump down. No, you don't have the ability as you're falling to line up that. So yeah, I don't know. What am I missing? Is there some way I could get an angle on this? Maybe if I was on this platform down here, I could get some kind of angle and look up at that. Let's go ahead and get one thing at least. We've unlocked a challenge called Sewer Bat. Would be somewhat nice if there was a way to lower ladder and get a shortcut, or just be able to grapple, establish some grapple points. Right. It's questionable whether there's any lower location. Yeah. Seeing anything like that. Would I fall off the edge? I think I would. There's no platform here that moves. Or anything along those lines. I don't think I'm just supposed to line up a light. Well, color me confused. Solution partially revealed. Oops. Wasting a lot of time here in this Assassin's Creed style gameplay. And honestly, there's a decent thought to just... I'm not sure I've done this before. Yeah, here it is. There's definitely a decent thought to have just looked up the answer. So riddle solved, and there's a riddle trophy. So I found two things. And meanwhile, oh, I see why I didn't find it, is because I hadn't really been spending a lot of time up in this area. Alright. So if that makes us fall downward, let's see if we can find a way to climb up on the ledges. Nope. But we can get to this part, which I think we had already been to. Which then gets us back to this part, which we'd already been to. There's nothing to grapple. Everything in this area is programmed to not let you grapple.
Apart. It's not safe to use the grapple. I need to climb up the old-fashioned way.
Alright. So let's look around. We don't have a real guarantee that everything is in this area. Probably isn't. If we go over here, this gives us a little bit of height in kind of the wrong direction. I don't feel like there's a thing you could grapple over here now. It might just be a case that you can't. Maybe you come around from a different area. Because nothing else seems like it would work. That jump is just too far. This way doesn't look like there's any way up there. This way doesn't look like there's any way up there. Since this game hasn't been an Assassin's Creed climbing parkouring game, there's not a lot of established rules to what can be climbed and what can't. So as far as we know, there might just be a simplistic upgrade that we get later on that's something that lets you grapple even damaged areas, or yeah, that looks like an explosive area, so yeah, we just can't get there. Or there might be a way where we can jump twice as far that we get. Shooting our batarangs through the cobwebs, and that's not really doing anything. Really doesn't feel like we accomplished too much today. Just got this ability and more story told to us.
Patient name Waylon Jones, aka Killer Croc.
So, is this the boss
they're building up that we're gonna fight Killer Croc
We're here to
next.
help you, Mr. Jones.
You got a cure for me then, Doc? Can you make me normal?
Normal is a poor choice of words. No one's really normal, are they?
Figured as much. So, how about this, Doc? You let me go now, and I won't eat you.
You don't really eat people. It's just an urban myth.
Oh, you think? Keep believing that, Doc.
So that whole interview is getting ended kind of crazy, kind of abruptly. But take note, you have the Great White Shark and Killer Croc, both older, more silly enemies. I feel like there's another character that I know in the Marvel universe, Spider-Man has an alligator character he fights too. There's a decent amount of just stealing of generic ideas from Marvel and DC, and let's face it, both of them probably stole those ideas directly from Universal Monsters movies. Is that a save point? Yeah, that is. So this is where we're gonna have to end. Just walking through here because it is a decent thought. We walk through here and end up in a fight with the Killer Croc and get dragged around some sewer section. It would be kind of crazy if they gave us yet another Metroidvania ability after that, but we kind of need it. You're so locked into this linear upgrade path that you can't play the game the way I would like to be able to play it. Yeah, I don't even think Robin plays a part in this game. Any of the Robins, or Red Hood, or any of the other Bat family other than Oracle. Robin, again, I don't think any of the Robins of the 3 to 5 of them that may have existed were given enough characterization either, even though they mostly all have their own side stories at this point. Yeah, I wouldn't be super surprised if what happens as we walk down this hallway in the next recording, we hook Killer Croc with the grapple shot, we get dragged in a special event, and that special event requires us to do something different.
Do you give up?
That they have to use some kind of special combo of buttons or maneuver that we haven't used at all before to defeat him, which is exactly what happened with the Bane fight. We had to throw a batarang to confuse him as he was charging. That's not something that got added to a new enemy style or in regular fights. There's far too few regular fights in this game in the first place, if that's the kind of game this is supposed to be. But even at that, once they introduced that Bane had to be hit with a batarang when he was charging, they needed to introduce a new minion from Blackgate that would charge you and attack you. And it would be super easy to just have it be one of the characters in like a straitjacket and like maybe a metal cage over their head. Although the metal cage over your head idea is frankly a little barbaric and more like a Saw horror movie than something that you would assume Arkham Asylum would use. They do have like mesh hoods they put over the heads of people who are spitting or biting people, but not metal cages. That would make them even more potentially dangerous if they headbutted you. There's a lot of things to collect still, but very few character bioses. And then map wise, if we look at Arkham Island, we are here, I guess, in this cave system that wasn't even being shown on the map before. but I kind of doubt we'll see anything more. And we don't still have all the abilities, I think, to go back to intensive treatment. And we haven't been to the botanical gardens, and we haven't been to the mansion. We've definitely been to the medical facility, but we'd have to go back to it. We haven't been to the penitentiary. So there's still a decent amount of gameplay if you assume that each of those are going to be levels with some small amount of rooms. Really small amounts of rooms, though. There's an odd criticism balance you have to make here. It is a 2009 game, but even for a 2009 game, it has very, very small levels. On the other hand, it could be applauded somewhat for not really having a lot of loading. But on the other hand, that's not having a lot of loading on a computer in 2020. So back when this was played on the Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3, probably did have a decent amount of loading. So that's really not something I should applaud as much, and I have to look at it as far as actual what meat is on this bone, and the lack of a large amount of levels, or I'd like the levels to be about 3 times as big. I'd like the number of enemy encounters to be about 3 times as often, perhaps even with many encounters just being one person instead of groups of 3 at minimum. When you compare this game to the Spider-Man game that came out recently, Spider-Man wins by far, and I haven't even played it. I mean, I could compare this game to Lego Marvel Superheroes, and Lego Marvel Superheroes will beat it, or Lego Batman 2 beats it, or Lego Batman 1 probably even beats it. And that was a game that would have come out a year before this, just because there's going to be more characters, more levels, more things to do. Lego Batman 1 would have been incredibly linear, and it's still not as linear as this one feels, because this is a 3D, more adult AAA style game, whereas Lego Batman is a kid's game, and all the Lego games have been mostly linear, at least up until that point. They started adding open worlds, and with the open worlds, I think they added open worlds in Lego Batman 2 for the first time, and that was very nice, but there still was a ton of linearity there, and it was still more content than what we're seeing here. This, just every time I see something, it feels like it was a little bit rushed. Right. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.